What is going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today I want to talk to you about SoFi. I want to go over some of the data points, what shorts are doing, and where I see things going from here. Before I get into any of that though, make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Always greatly appreciate that. And with that said, let's get right to it. So as of right now, it is flat. It did have a low of $8.59, a high of $8.79. So a lot of volatility, and that's just because the technicals. I'm going to touch on that in a second. A little bit low for volume, so 3.9 million shares being traded. 19 is the average. And when it comes down to that, it's clearly because of the upcoming Fed decision rate this later today, I believe around 2 o'clock. So big money is clearly just taking a step back, just waiting for the decision and of course the speech just to really dictate where the market is going. And especially in SoFi's case, based on the technicals, it is and has been wedge bound between that 50 and 100 day moving average for a very long time. So I feel like SoFi has been waiting for this exact moment to either break above this or break below, depending on what is said. And going back over here as far as some estimates, so there is two institutions that do feel that there is going to be a 25 basis point rate hike. So that is Raymond James and Mizuho. And there is a lot of institutions right here that are under the impression that there won't be any rate hike. And that seems to be the common consensus right now. And I do feel that changed because of the recent CPI data. Prior to that though, the consensus was that it was going to be a 25 basis point increase. So I feel like that's already been factored into the stock price. So if there is no actual rate hike and Powell is generally optimistic, then the market is going to go up very, very fast, as what you see a lot of people posting all about. So let me know your thoughts on that. Then oddly enough, you do have DecaBank. I've never really heard of them, but they are randomly assuming that there is going to be a 50 basis point rate cut. So if there is ever a cut, then the market is going to just explode in a very positive way. So let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comments below. At the time of doing this video, no SEC filings, no press releases, nothing like that. As far as recent analyst ratings, there was one that did come out yesterday, but I feel like with the broader market and the fear, it kind of just got brushed under the rug. So you can see Jefferies, John Heckett, if I'm saying that right, 60% success rating, did give a $15 price target. So very, very optimistic. And normally in the past, when one of these analyst ratings with such a optimistic price target comes down the pipeline, that usually causes SoFi to go at least up about 3 or 4%. But because of the fears that was happening yesterday, this one just got brushed under the rug. So once again, that's kind of unfortunate, but that's some of the updates as far as that. But I will give you an overview of some of the data points, starting off with options activity. So $980,000 in calls being purchased versus $125,000 in puts. So based on this, people are anticipating for SoFi to trend up pretty significantly. And based on the dollar value, it looks like a lot of institutions are playing with options rather than actual physical stock based on the volume. So kind of interesting as far as that. If you are optimistic, this shows all of the calls, the strike prices, expiry dates. Based on this, it is anticipated to go between the $8.50 to $9.50 by the end of this week and by around $10 by the following week. So let me know your thoughts on that. These are all the transactions that have occurred on the secondary market. So once again, kind of matching with the lower volumes. So only two transactions over $100,000. One was 185, the other being 133. And these are all the transactions that have occurred on the dark pool. As of today, though, there hasn't been any, which is kind of abnormal. Like I said, just maybe institutions are waiting on the sidelines. When it comes down to dark pool, though, that is linked to shorting. So I'll give you an overview of that. So as of right now, shorts are increasing almost about 60,000 shares. 13.04% of the free floats being shorted. 105.01 million shares overall are being shorted. And cost to borrow average is 1.03. And as I've said in the past, I'm only bringing this up as more of a benchmark, not necessarily because I am saying it's going to squeeze. Because I don't ever think SoFi is going to have a massive short squeeze unless there's like either an acquisition or takeover or something like that. But let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. As far as going back over here, just to get your viewpoint, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think that there is going to be a interest rate hike, or there's going to be a cut, or is it going to stay the same? I think based on the data that's been coming out in the CPI, there isn't going to be any rate hike, and most likely Powell will be probably more optimistic than hawkish or anything else like that. But when it comes down to the technicals, let's talk on that for a second. So as of right now, it is flirting with a central Bollinger Band. So of course, showing a little bit more of a risk aspect right there. But with it at $8.62, still trading between this S1 and the pivot. And unfortunately, that's been a very common update that I've been giving you guys over the last, I don't know, couple of weeks now, largely because it has been trading within that range. So $7.99 is still that very strong support. $9.22 is that very strong resistance. So I feel like today in the Fed's decision rate might be the deciding factor whether SoFi actually does trade above the 50-day moving average or whether it does trade below that 100-day moving average. So kind of interesting stuff. As far as looking at the momentum indicator, shows number of retail investors have been getting out. So once again, that's something just to consider. Stochastic is currently at 60, a little bit more of a bearish sentiment as well. So let me know your thoughts on SoFi in the comments below and give yourself a shout out. Have you been buying, selling, holding? What have you been doing with SoFi in the comments? And as well, have you been playing options? I think options, the volume has been going up pretty significantly. So insinuating people are doing a lot more. And even looking at the open interest as of right now at the 850 strike price, there's roughly around 8,000 in open interest, 41,000 at the 9 and 15 at the 950, which once again, if SoFi does close above those strikes, then in theory, market makers will have to cover a lot of that open interest. So definitely pretty positive stuff when it comes down to that. Let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. And one final thing, if you do like my channel and want to support the growth, take a look at my memberships, link in the description below and also the comments. So with all that said, I appreciate all of you watching and let's eventually make a ton of money on SoFi.